When you wake up in the morning, before you even check your phone, before you answer anyone's call or reply to anyone's message, there's a question you need to ask yourself. What am I doing for me today? Because if you don't ask that question, if you don't take ownership of your own priorities, somebody else will fill your day with theirs. And once that happens, you're no longer living your life. You're living theirs. And you see, the truth is that too many women have been trained, conditioned, and pressured into believing that their worth is tied to how much they do for others, that their value is in their sacrifices, their compromises, their ability to put everyone else ahead of themselves. And while caring for others is a beautiful thing, it becomes dangerous when it's at the expense of your own health, your own dreams, and your own peace of mind. And self-prioritization is not selfishness. It is self-respect. It's an acknowledgement that you are not an accessory in someone else's story. You are the author of your own. And every author knows you cannot write a powerful book if you let other people hold the pen. And the world will always have demands for you. Family, friends, work, society, even strangers on the internet. Everyone has an opinion on what you should be doing, how you should be acting, who you should be with, what you should look like, even what you should think. But here's the thing. They don't carry your pain. They don't carry your exhaustion. They don't carry the weight of the choices you've made or the sacrifices you've endured. So why should they have the power to direct your life? And if you're constantly saying yes to everyone else, you are by default saying no to yourself. Every yes that doesn't align with your vision is a small betrayal of your own future. And those small betrayals add up. They turn into resentment. They turn into burnout. They turn into waking up one day wondering, where did my time go? Where did my dreams go? Who did I become? And you deserve better than that. You deserve to wake up excited, not drained. You deserve to feel fulfilled, not empty. And that starts with one bold decision, to focus on yourself unapologetically. And when you put yourself first, you are not saying, I don't care about others. You're saying, I care about myself enough to set boundaries. I care about my health enough to protect my energy. I care about my future enough to invest in it now. And think about it. What happens when you neglect your own needs? You start to run on fumes. You give and give until there's nothing left, and then you still try to give more. That's when your health suffers. That's when your creativity dries up. That's when your patience wears thin and your relationships become strained. It's not because you're a bad person. It's because you've been trying to pour from an empty cup. But when you prioritize yourself, when you take time to rest, to learn, to grow, to heal, you start showing up differently. You're more patient because you're not stretched so thin. You're more creative because your mind is refreshed. You're more confident because you've been investing in your skills, your passions, and your self-image. And the best part, the people who truly love you will benefit from this stronger, happier version of you. And you have to understand that no one is coming to rescue you from the life you don't want. No one is going to knock on your door and say, I see you're tired. I see you've been sacrificing too much. Here, let me give you your time, your energy, your dreams back. That doesn't happen. The only person who can reclaim those things is you. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable at first. You're going to feel guilty when you say no. You're going to feel judged. Watch. And you take time for yourself. People who are used to you overextending yourself will be surprised when you stop. They might even get upset. But here's the secret. That discomfort is a sign you're doing the right thing, because growth is never comfortable, and neither is reclaiming your power. And focusing on yourself might mean taking a step back from certain people. It might mean ending relationships that drain you more than they support you. It might mean changing your environment, your job, your habits. It might even mean sitting in solitude for a while, learning who you really are when you're not performing for other people's approval. And let's talk about approval for a moment. Too many women live their lives chasing it. Approval from family, from society, from partners, from strangers on social media. But here's the problem. The approval of others is temporary. It shifts with trends, with moods, with their own biases and insecurities. You cannot build a stable, fulfilling life on something so unstable. The only approval that truly matters is the one you give yourself when you look in the mirror. And ask yourself, am I proud of the way I'm living? Am I being honest about what I need? Am I making choices that move me closer to the life I want? If the answer is no, then it's time for change. Not next month, not next year, now. And then when you make that change, something incredible happens. You stop feeling like a victim of life and start feeling like the architect of it. You stop waiting for permission and start taking action. You stop apologizing for existing and start embracing your presence. And this doesn't mean you become cold or unkind. It means you become selective. You give your time, your energy, your love to people and situations that nourish you, not drain you. You stop trying to save people who refuse to save themselves. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. And you start living for something bigger than just survival. You start living for fulfillment. And because here's the truth, when a woman focuses on he or self, when she stops trying to be everything for everyone, she becomes unstoppable. She becomes magnetic. She becomes a force that no one can ignore, not because she's shouting for attention, but because her energy, her confidence, her peace speak louder than words ever could. And you don't owe anyone a watered-down version of yourself to make them comfortable. You don't owe anyone constant access to your time, your energy, your emotions. You are allowed to put yourself at the top of your priority list. In fact, you must. Because if you don't, life will pass you by while you're busy holding up everyone else's. And so every day, choose you. Choose to protect your energy. Choose to invest in your dreams. Choose to feed your mind with knowledge, your body with care, your soul with peace. And don't apologize for it. Because when you take care of yourself first, you're not only creating a better life for you, you're setting an example for every other woman who's been taught to put herself last. You're showing them that it's not only okay to prioritize yourself, it's necessary. And there's a difference between being quiet and being silenced. Being silenced means someone has taken your voice away, pushed you down, tried to make you disappear. But being quiet, choosing silence, is not weakness. It's a decision, a skill, a weapon. And we live in a world where everybody is talking. Everybody has an opinion. Everyone wants to be heard. And most people are talking just to talk, not to listen, not to understand, not to learn. And in that noise, the loudest person often thinks they're winning. But here's the truth. In any room, the most powerful person is rarely the one talking the most. The most powerful person is the one who knows when to speak and when to stay silent. And silence can protect you. Silence can shield you from drama, from unnecessary battles, from arguments that lead nowhere. Because let's be real, some people don't actually want to understand you. They just want to provoke you. They want to drain you, pull you into their chaos, and feed off your reaction. When you give them nothing, no words, no energy, no attention, you rob them of that power. And there's a certain kind of strength in not responding, in hearing the gossip but not adding your voice to it, in hearing the insult but not feeding it with your emotions, in knowing you could destroy someone with your words but choosing to walk away instead. That's not weakness, that's control. And silence also gives you time to think, time to observe, time to plan your next move without revealing it. When you speak too soon, you give away your strategy. You let people know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what your next step might be. But when you hold your tongue, you keep the power in your hands. You create mystery. You give people less to use against you. And let's be honest, sometimes explaining yourself is a waste of time. You could spend hours trying to make someone understand your side, but if they are committed to misunderstanding you, it won't matter. They'll twist your words. They'll pick apart your tone. They'll use your openness against you. Why waste that breath? Why hand over your peace just to prove a point that doesn't need proving? And your silence is your filter. It keeps out the noise that doesn't serve you. It stops you from reacting to every small thing. It allows you to conserve your energy for the things that matter. And in a world that constantly tries to pull women into defending themselves, into proving themselves, into fighting battles that don't even belong to them, choosing silence is revolutionary. And there's another side to this. Silence teaches you to listen. When you're not rushing to speak, you notice more. You hear what people are actually saying. Not just their words, but their tone, their hesitation, the emotion behind their voice. You pick up on patterns. You see who really supports you and who just pretends to. You see who's telling the truth and who's wearing a mask. And when you do speak, your words hit harder because they're not just random noise. They're intentional, precise, impossible to ignore. People remember the person who speaks rarely but powerfully. They lean in when you talk because they know you're not speaking just to fill the air. You're speaking because what you have to say matters. And silence is also a form of self-respect. It says, I don't need to beg you to see my value. I don't need to argue to prove my worth. I know who I am, and I don't require your validation. That kind of confidence shakes people. It makes them question themselves. It forces them to see you differently, not as someone desperate for approval, but as someone who chooses where, when, and to whom she gives her voice. And some will misunderstand your silence. They'll call it arrogance. They'll call it weakness. They'll call it indifference. Let them. Your job is not to convince them otherwise. Your job is to protect your peace, your energy, and your vision. Because while they're busy talking about you, you're busy building something they can't touch. And let's be real, silence is uncomfortable for a lot of people. We live in a world addicted to noise. If there's no noise, people start to feel uneasy. They'll push you to respond, to react, to explain, just so they can feel in control again. That's when you know your silence is working, when it makes people restless. But here's the thing, silence doesn't mean inaction. You're not sitting still. You're not ignoring life. You're moving, growing, learning, creating, just quietly. You're making moves they won't see until it's too late. You're letting your results speak louder than any argument ever could. And when you combine silence with focus, you become unstoppable. You're not distracted by petty conflicts. You're not losing sleep over what some Ioannis said about you. You're not wasting time trying to change opinions that don't matter. You're building in the background. And when you finally reveal what you've been working on, it speaks for itself. And the most dangerous people in any room are the ones who know how to keep their plans to themselves. The ones who don't feel the need to announce every move. The ones who can walk away from an argument knowing they could have won it, but chose to win something bigger. Their peace, their focus, their future. And think about a chess game. The loud, impulsive player who moves too quickly might feel confident in the moment, but they're not thinking 10 moves ahead. The quiet player, they're watching, observing, calculating. They're patient. They're not reacting to every small threat. They're working toward the ultimate checkmate. That's what silence does for you. It turns your life into a strategic game where you choose the terms. And yes, this is going to be difficult if you're someone who has been taught to defend yourself at every turn, to answer every question, to respond to every comment. It's going to feel unnatural at first. You might feel like you're losing by staying quiet. But over time, you'll see the truth. You win more by not engaging in every battle. You save your energy for the battles that actually matter. And silence also protects your reputation. When you're not speaking impulsively, you're less likely to say something you regret. You're less likely to reveal too much to the wrong people. You're less likely to get pulled into situations that don't serve you. Instead, you remain steady, composed, in control. And there's a kind of elegance in that, a kind of strength that doesn't need to be shouted about. The strongest women aren't always the loudest. They're the ones who can sit in silence and let their actions speak. They're the ones who can walk away from chaos without looking back. They're the ones who know that sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. And so use your silence. Use it to protect your dreams. Use T to guard your energy. Use it to keep people guessing. Use it to stay focused on the life you're building instead of getting lost in the noise of the world. Because the truth is, you don't have to tell everyone everything. You don't have to respond to everyone who demands a reaction. You don't have to speak every time you're provoked. And when you master silence, you master control, not just over others, but over yourself. And when you have that kind of control, there's nothing you can't achieve. Your energy is your life force. It's not just about how much sleep you get or how many calories you eat. It's the emotional, mental, and spiritual fuel that powers everything you do. And the truth is, you can be talented, beautiful, intelligent, and capable, but if your energy is drained, none of that will matter. You won't have the strength to use it. And energy is like money. You have a limited amount to spend every day, and if you're not careful, you'll spend it on things that give you nothing in return. You'll wake up in the morning with a full account, but by midday, you'll be bankrupt, and you won't even know where it went. That's why protecting your energy is not optional. It's survival. And every person you interact with, every conversation you have, every thought you entertain, it's either adding to your energy or taking away from it. And here's where most women make the mistake. They think they can handle it all. They think they can keep giving and giving without running out. But life doesn't work like that. You can't keep pouring into others without refilling yourself. You can't keep saying yes to everyone else while saying no to yourself. And protecting your energy means you start making decisions differently. You stop agreeing to things out of guilt. You stop answering calls that leave you feeling heavy. You stop spending time with people who take more than tea. Hey, give. You start choosing peace over chaos, solitude over fake company, and purpose over distraction. And the hard part? This is going to require boundaries. And boundaries will make some people uncomfortable, especially the ones who benefited from you having none. They'll call you distant. They'll say you've changed. They'll try to pull you back into the old patterns where your energy was theirs for the taking. But that's the point. You have changed, and you're not going back. And you have to realize that not everyone around you is good for you. Some people are like sunshine. They warm you, inspire you, and help you grow. Others are like storms. They drain you, damage you, and leave you feeling empty. If you keep letting storms into your life, don't be surprised when your energy feels scattered and weak. And protecting your energy also means protecting your mind. The content you consume matters. The conversations you engage in matter. If you're constantly listening to negativity, scrolling through drama, or surrounding yourself with people who complain about everything but never change anything, that energy seeps into you. It shapes your mood, your focus, and even your sense of self. And so you have to ask yourself, does this give me energy or take it away? Every person, every activity, every thought, start measuring it by that standard. If it drains you, limit it. If it fuels you, invest in it. And here's the other thing. Protecting your energy isn't just about saying no to bad things. It's also about saying yes to what builds you up. Yes to rest. Yes to hobbies. Yes to learning. Yes to self-care. Yes to being alone if it means being at peace. Too many women think self-care is a luxury. It's not. It's maintenance. It's how you make sure you're still functioning at your best. And sometimes protecting your energy means disappearing for a while. Pulling back from the noise. Saying less. Doing less for others so you can do more for yourself. Some people won't understand that, but that's okay. They don't have to. You're not living for their understanding, We're living for your well-being. And one of the biggest energy thieves in life is unnecessary conflict, arguments that lead nowhere, trying to convince someone who doesn't want to be convinced, engaging with people who twist your words just to win. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to defend yourself every time someone misrepresents you. You don't have to explain yourself to people who have already decided who you are in their mind. Walking away is not losing. Walking away is winning your energy back. And I'll tell you something. When you start protecting your energy, your circle will shrink. You'll lose people, but you'll gain peace. And peace is worth more than any crowd of half-interested, half-invested, half-supportive people. You'll also notice that your productivity goes up, your creativity expands, and your emotional stability strengthens because you're no longer spending your power on nonsense. And protecting your energy also means managing your own thoughts. Because let's be honest, not all energy drains come from the outside. Sometimes it's us. Our overthinking, our constant worrying, our replaying of past mistakes. That mental noise is exhausting. You can't protect your energy if you're at war with yourself. That's why you need to practice self-compassion, forgiveness, and letting go. What's done is done. What's gone is gone. You can't move forward if you're dragging dead weight from your past. And you have to treat your energy like a priceless resource. Imagine it's gold. Would you hand it out to anyone who asked without thinking? No. You'd protect it. You'd keep it safe. You'd make sure it's invested where it grows. Your energy is even more valuable than gold because once it's gone, you can't just go mine more in a few hours. You have to rest, heal, and rebuild it. That takes time. So stop spending it on things that have no return. And here's something powerful. When you protect your energy, you actually inspire other women to do the same. They see you setting boundaries, walking away from drama, prioritizing your health, and they start to realize they can do it too. Protecting your energy is not just self-care, it's leadership. You're showing others that it's possible to live differently, to choose peace, to value yourself enough to say no. And every day you should be asking yourself, where is my energy going? If too much of it is going to people and situations that don't pour back into you, it's time for change. If too much of it is going to worry, to fear, to things you can't control, it's time to redirect it. Energy is finite. Spend it like your life depends on it, because it does. And you don't owe your energy to everyone who wants it. You don't owe your attention to every voice calling your name. You don't owe your time to people who don't respect it. Your energy is sacred. Protect it fiercely, because when you guard it, you have more of it for the things that truly matter. Your health, your goals, your happiness, your growth. And the beauty of it, once you get serious about protecting your energy, you start to feel lighter. You start to feel more in control. You wake up with more clarity. You stop feeling like life is happening to you, and you start feeling like you're shaping it with intention. That's the power of energy protection. It gives you your life back. Most people are afraid of being alone. They think solitude is loneliness, that silence means something is missing. But there's a difference. Loneliness is a hunger for connection with others. Solitude is a connection with yourself. And when you understand that difference, you stop running from being alone and start running toward it. And because here's the truth, some of your greatest growth will happen in the quiet seasons of your life. Not in the spotlight, not in the middle of the crowd, not when everyone's watching, but when no one's watching. When you're by yourself, when the noise dies down, when you have nothing left to distract you from the voice inside your own head, that's where transformation begins. And solitude is where you discover who you really are without the influence of other people's opinions. It's where you strip away the roles you've been playing, daughter, friend, partner, employee, and get to the core of your own identity. It's where you stop performing for approval and start asking, what do I want? Who do I want to be? Where am I going? And the reason many people avoid solitude is because it forces them to face themselves. It's easy to stay busy, to stay surrounded by people, to keep the music and the conversations going, because when it's quiet, you start to hear the truth. You start to hear your fears, your regrets, your dreams you've been ignoring. That's uncomfortable. But it's also necessary because you can't change what you refuse to face. And in solitude, you have the space to heal. You're not being pulled in 10 different directions. You're not distracted by other people's problems. You can finally look at your own wounds, acknowledge them, and start the work of repairing them. And healing takes time. It takes patience. It takes being still long enough to listen to your body, your mind, your soul. And solitude is also where your creativity comes alive. When you're not absorbing everyone else's thoughts, you can finally hear your own. New ideas start to flow. You start imagining possibilities you couldn't see before because you were too busy listening to the noise of the world. And think about it. Some of the most powerful people in history had seasons of solitude. Leaders, artists, thinkers. They all understood that in order to create something extraordinary, you have to step away from the ordinary. You have to shut the door, silence the world, and focus inward. And here's the thing. Growth in solitude doesn't just happen by accident. It's intentional. You have to make the choice to step back. You have to carve out time to be with yourself, to sit in stillness, to reflect on where you are and where you're going. That relationships and situations that only fill the space but not your soul. And some people will misunderstand your solitude. They'll think you're isolating yourself. They'll think you're antisocial. They'll think you've changed. And they're right. You have changed. You've stopped living for the crowd and started living for yourself. And the ones who truly care for you will respect that. The ones who only valued your availability will fade away. And that's a blessing. And solitude also strengthens your decision-making. When you're constantly surrounded by voices, it's easy to be swayed. One person says go left, another says go right, and suddenly you're standing still, confused. But in solitude, you hear your own voice more clearly. You learn to trust your instincts. You learn that your inner compass is more reliable than the noise outside. And yes, there will be moments in solitude where you feel restless, where you doubt yourself, where you wonder if you're missing out. But that's just the old habits talking, the part of you that's used to constant distraction. Give it time and you'll find that what you gain in solitude far outweighs anything you think you're missing. And because in solitude, you're not missing out. You're building up. You're building clarity. You're building resilience. You're building the version of yourself that can step into the next chapter of your life fully prepared. And here's the most powerful part. When you grow in solitude, the results speak for themselves. You don't have to announce your progress. You don't have to prove anything. People will see the difference in the way you carry yourself, in the way you speak, in the way you no longer tolerate what you used to. They'll see the strength that comes from someone who has faced herself, healed herself, and built herself alone. And so don't be afraid to step back. Don't be afraid to be one for a while. Don't be afraid of the quiet. That quiet is where you meet yourself. And when you truly meet yourself, when you know yourself, when you've grown in that solitude, no one can take that from you. might mean saying no to invitations. That might mean taking a break from social media. That might mean waking up earlier or staying up later just to have that uninterrupted time. And when you give yourself that space, you start to notice changes. You're less reactive because you're not feeding off other people's chaos. You're more grounded because you've been building your foundation in private. You're more confident because you've learned to trust yourself instead of constantly seeking validation. And when you do step back into the world, you step back differently. You're not desperate for attention. You're not swayed by every opinion. You're not chasing after things that don't align with you. You walk with a quiet strength because you know exactly who you are and what you're capable of. And the beauty of solitude is that it teaches you self-sufficiency, not in a cold, I don't need anyone way, but in a healthy, I can stand on my own way. It shows you that your happiness, your peace, your growth, they're not dependent on anyone else. And that's powerful because when you're no longer dependent, you're no longer easily manipulated. And in solitude, you also learn to enjoy your own company. You stop feeling the need to escape yourself. You start doing things that make you happy, reading, writing, walking, creating, resting, without waiting for someone to join you. And when you enjoy your own company, you stop settling for